and I found a suspicious text from my best friend to my pregnant wife after years of fertility struggles, and I'm starting to think the baby isn't mine. Throwaway account because my wife knows my main, and this is pretty personal stuff. I, male 36, have been married to Jessica, female 34, for 7 years. Met at a mutual friend's wedding. And honestly, things have been pretty great for most of our marriage. Like, we've had normal fights and stuff, but nothing major until recently. She's smart, beautiful, funny, all that good stuff. We bought our house 4 years ago, have 2 cats, one that's basically just hers because he hates me lol, and basically have been living that typical suburban life. For the past 3 years, we've been trying to have a baby with no luck. It's been really hard on both of us, honestly. All our friends started having kids, and we just couldn't. We did all the tests, and the doctors basically said I might have some fertility issues. My sperm count was on the lower side, but they never said it was impossible, just that it might be harder for us to conceive naturally. Jessica was actually really supportive through all of that stuff. We tried some fertility treatments, but nothing worked, and we were starting to talk about maybe trying IVF or possibly adoption down the road. For context, I work as a software developer, and I've been working super hard on this huge project for the past 6 months that could finally get me that senior developer promotion I've been after for like 2 years. It means a lot of late nights and sometimes weekends too. I know it's not ideal, but the promotion would mean better money for our future family, and Jessica seemed to understand it was temporary. My best friend, Alan, male, 35, has been around a lot more lately. He and I have been friends since college, literally my freshman roommate, and we've been tight ever since. He went through a really messy breakup about 8 months ago, and he's been spending a lot of time at our place. At first, I was grateful because he would keep Jessica company when I was working late, help with house projects I didn't have time for, and he'd join us for dinner like 3 to 4 times a week. Jessica and Alan always got along well, but lately they've seemed even closer, which I thought was nice. God, I'm such an idiot. So the big news. After almost 3 years of trying, Jessica told me she was pregnant about 2 months ago. I can't even describe how happy I was. I literally broke down crying, not ashamed to admit it. It felt like our miracle baby, you know? I immediately went full dad mode, reading parenting books, researching car seats, looking into college savings plans, the whole 9 yards. I even started converting our home office into a nursery on the weekends. I basically never shut up about the baby to anyone who would listen. Probably annoyed all my coworkers, lol. But Jessica, she didn't seem as excited as I expected. Like, she was happy, but more in a subdued way. I figured maybe she was just scared of another disappointment after trying for so long. She kept saying she didn't want to jinx it by getting too excited too early. Made sense at the time, I guess. Things started feeling off these past few weeks, though. Jessica has been really protective of her phone, always face down, taking it to the bathroom, that kind of stuff. She's been staying out later for work events or girls' nights, more than usual. And she bought all this new lingerie and clothes that I swear I've never seen her wear. Again, I didn't think too much of it at first. Maybe pregnancy was making her feel different about her body or something. Then yesterday, everything changed. I was using Jessica's iPad with her permission. She told me to use it to look at our baby registry to add some items. We have this thing where we share a registry and add stuff we find throughout the week. Anyway, I'm scrolling through baby stuff when this text notification pops up from Alan about how he can't wait to see her tomorrow when I'm at work and that he misses her body. I just sat there staring at it, reading it over and over. I couldn't believe it. My best friend since college and my pregnant wife. It made me sick. I threw up in the bathroom and just sat on the floor for like 20 minutes. My mind was racing with all these memories of them together, laughing at dinners, all those times he was at our house while I was working late. Was this happening the whole time? How long has this been going on? I tried to stay calm though, which was really hard. When Jessica got home that evening, I waited until after dinner and just straight up asked her if there was something going on between her and Alan. She got super defensive right away and asked why I would ask such a ridiculous question. I told her about the text I saw on her iPad. She started yelling about how I was invading her privacy and being paranoid. I had to remind her multiple times that I wasn't snooping. She told me to use the iPad and the message just popped up. She claimed Alan has just been supporting her through pregnancy anxiety, and I was taking things out of context. She said he's just been helping her because I'm never around, which honestly made me feel like shit. I asked her directly if she was having an affair with Alan, and she completely turned the conversation around on me. She started crying about how I'm never home, always working, making her feel unloved during her pregnancy. Then she brought up how we're having a baby together and how could I accuse her of cheating right now. She was sobbing at this point, and I ended up feeling like the biggest asshole for upsetting my pregnant wife. I apologized for jumping to conclusions and we kind of just dropped it, but I can't stop thinking about it. The text was pretty damn clear. What other explanation could there be? I met up with Alan for our regular Thursday beer yesterday. Yeah, awkward as hell, but I wanted to see if he'd act different. He was asking a lot of questions about my work schedule and upcoming business trips, which now seems super suspicious. He's never been that interested in my work calendar before. When I mentioned the promotion might require some travel in the coming months, he got this weird look on his face. Hard to describe, but it was like he was trying not to look too happy about it. I don't know, maybe I'm reading into things too much now. This morning I called the fertility specialist to go over my previous tests again. The doctor seemed confused when I mentioned Jessica had downplayed my issues. Apparently my sperm count was significantly lower than Jessica told me. The doctor said natural conception would be highly unlikely with my numbers. Not impossible, but really improbable. Like less than 5% chance, kind of improbable. I remember when Jessica first explained the results to me, she said it was just slightly below average but would probably be fine. Why would she lie about that? I talked to my sister Molly, female, 38, who has never really gotten along with Jessica. Molly immediately suggested getting a paternity test. Part of me thinks she's just being her usual anti-Jessica self, but another part of me is afraid she's right. I calculated the conception date based on Jessica's due date, and it likely happened during my 2-week conference in Seattle 3 months ago. I remember calling Jessica every night, and she mentioned Alan was helping her repaint the kitchen while I was gone. She also mentioned they went out for drinks with some friends one night. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now that I think about it, our kitchen never actually got repainted. We talked about colors, but nothing happened. What the hell were they actually doing? I'm just lost. If I push this and I'm wrong, I could destroy my marriage and lose the baby I already love so much. But if I'm right, I'd be raising my best friend's baby while they laugh behind my back. What are the odds that after 3 years of trying with my low sperm count, we suddenly get pregnant naturally right when my best friend is spending tons of time at our house? When I type it out like that, it seems so obvious, but I feel like I'm going crazy. Has anyone been through something like this? I feel like I'm losing my mind. 1 minute I'm convinced she's cheating, the next minute I feel like a paranoid asshole for suspecting my pregnant wife and best friend of betraying me. I just don't know what to do. Edit. Wow, this blew up way more than I expected. Thank you for all the comments. To answer some common questions. No, we hadn't tried IVF yet. We were considering it, but hadn't started the process. This pregnancy was supposed to be completely natural, which is why it felt like such a miracle. About the iPad. Jessica and I have always had an open device policy. We know each other's passwords and frequently use each other's devices. I wasn't snooping through her messages. The text literally popped up as a notification while I was using it. A lot of people are suggesting I get a paternity test without telling Jessica. I don't even know how I would do that. And wouldn't the doctor need her consent for that while she's still pregnant? I'm not even sure I want to know the truth at this point. For those saying I should check her phone, I haven't because that feels like crossing a line. Maybe that's stupid given the circumstances, but I don't know. Someone asked how she told me about the pregnancy. She just came out of the bathroom one morning with the test and showed me. She wasn't jumping up and down excited, more like quietly happy, relieved. To the people asking why I didn't confront Alan about the text directly, I'm honestly scared of what I might do if he admits it. I'm not a violent person, never been in a fight in my life, but I'm so angry and hurt right now, I don't trust myself. Edit 2. I know everyone is saying to get a lawyer as soon as possible, but this is my wife and possibly my child we're talking about. I can't just throw away 7 years of marriage without being 100% sure. I need to find out the truth first. And no, I haven't confronted Alan directly about the text yet. I'm worried if I do that before I have more evidence, they'll just get better at hiding it. Edit 3. Since a few people asked, yes, Jessica knows about the appointment with the fertility doctor. I told her I was just getting a general checkup since it had been a while since my last one. She seemed a bit nervous when I mentioned it, but didn't say anything. And no, I haven't been sleeping well. Maybe 2 to 3 hours a night since finding that text. I keep having these nightmares about them laughing at me behind my back. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post. First, thank you to everyone who commented. I was seriously in a bad place, and reading through your messages helped me realize I wasn't going crazy. After reading all your comments, I decided to do some more digging before confronting Jessica again. I know a lot of you said to just leave immediately or confront her and Alan together, but I needed to be sure before blowing up my whole life, you know? I scheduled another appointment with the fertility specialist without telling Jessica. I told her I was going for a general checkup since it had been a while. She seemed weirdly nervous when I mentioned it, which should have been a red flag. The doctor confirmed what some of you were saying. My condition makes it extremely unlikely that I could father a child naturally. The doctor estimated less than a 1% chance based on my test results. When I asked about the possibility of a pregnancy after 3 years of trying, he gave me this look that said everything. I also started noticing some weird financial stuff that I can't believe I missed before. Jessica suggested we refinance our house, even though we just refinanced 14 months ago. She also brought up moving our savings to a new account and updating our life insurance policies with her as the sole beneficiary. I mean, maybe this is all innocent pregnancy planning stuff, but it felt off. So I started looking more carefully at our finances, something I probably should have been doing all along, I know. Turns out Jessica had made several unexplained withdrawals from our joint savings over the past 4 months, totaling around $18,000. When I checked our credit card statements, I found hotel charges on days Jessica claimed to be working late. Not exactly subtle. After a lot of internal debate, I hired a private investigator. Yeah, I know how that sounds. I never thought I'd be the guy hiring a PI to follow his pregnant wife, but here we are. The PI confirmed what I was afraid of. Jessica and Alan have been meeting regularly at a local hotel during my work hours. According to the PI, they weren't acting like this was some new thing. They were comfortable together, like an established couple. The PI gave me photos. I finally talked to a divorce attorney. She told me to gather as much evidence as possible and secure my finances before confronting Jessica. So I opened a separate bank account and moved half our remaining joint savings into it and made copies of all our financial records. The lawyer said this was completely legal since it's still marital property. I just needed to make sure Jessica couldn't drain everything once she knew I was onto them. Then I found something really upsetting. I was looking for my sunglasses in Jessica's car and found a receipt from a jewelry store in the center console. It showed a $3,200 purchase from 2 weeks ago. I searched our bedroom, but couldn't find any new jewelry for Jessica. When I checked our credit card statements, there was the matching charge. I called the jewelry store pretending to verify a purchase. Not proud of this, but I was desperate. The clerk confirmed a men's watch was purchased and already picked up. Then I remembered Alan wearing a new expensive watch at our last dinner together. My wife bought my best friend a $3,200 watch with our money. Money that was supposed to be for our baby. Our baby. Except it's not our baby, is it? I took photos of the receipt and credit card statement and added it to my evidence. While I was checking, I looked at Jessica's email on our shared computer. We've always had each other's passwords. I found messages between them discussing a weekend getaway they're planning for next month. They were talking about their future together once everything is settled. What does that even mean? Are they waiting until after the baby is born to leave me, or were they planning to just keep this going behind my back indefinitely? We had dinner with some friends last weekend. Jessica, me, Alan, and another couple who are mutual friends. It was the most uncomfortable night of my life. Jessica told everyone that she wanted me to consider being a stay-at-home dad since her career was taking off. And guess who supported this idea? Alan. They were sitting there, planning my future as the stay-at-home dad to their child while looking me in the face. I felt sick to my stomach the whole night, but I smiled and nodded because I wasn't ready to confront them yet. I think they either want me to raise Alan's child while they continue their relationship, or they want me financially compromised before leaving me. Maybe both. I also found prenatal vitamins in Jessica's purse, dated before we were supposedly successful in conceiving, which suggests the pregnancy was planned between them. This wasn't some accident. They planned this whole thing. After all this, I decided to set a trap. I told Jessica I needed to go on another business trip this week, Monday through Thursday. Instead of actually leaving town, I rented a car and stayed at a hotel about 20 minutes away. Monday evening, I drove by our house around 7 p.m. and saw Alan's car in the driveway. It was still there when I drove by again at 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, I waited until around 9 a.m. when I knew Jessica would normally be getting ready for work. I used my key to enter the house, and guess what I found? Jessica and Alan having breakfast together in our kitchen, with Alan wearing my robe, my fucking robe, the one Jessica gave me for Christmas last year. I managed to stay calm. I didn't scream or throw things like I wanted to. I just stood there, took photos of them together with my phone, and told them we need to talk when I get back from my trip. Then I walked out. Jessica has been calling and texting nonstop since then, but I haven't responded. Alan tried calling twice too. I've scheduled one more meeting with my attorney tomorrow to go over everything and file for divorce. I've documented all the evidence of the affair and financial stuff. According to my attorney, Jessica's financial moves could be considered dissipation of marital assets, which works in my favor for the divorce. I'm supposed to return from my business trip tomorrow evening. That's when I'm planning to confront them both with everything I know. Part of me wants to just serve her with divorce papers and never speak to either of them again, but I think I need to hear them admit what they've done to my face. I still can't believe this is happening. 7 years of marriage, and this is how it ends. With my pregnant wife and my best friend betraying me, I don't even know how to process this. I keep switching between feeling completely numb and being so angry I can't see straight. Edit. To those asking if I'm absolutely sure the baby isn't mine, yes, I'm sure. Between the less than 1% chance from my fertility results, the timing of Alan's involvement, finding the prenatal vitamins from before our miracle conception, and all the other evidence, there's no doubt in my mind. Several people suggested getting a paternity test anyway, and my lawyer said we'll request one officially during the divorce proceedings. Edit 2. Thanks for all the support. To address a few common questions. Yes, I have backed up all evidence in multiple places. Cloud storage, thumb drive at my sister's house, copies with my lawyer. No, I haven't confronted Alan separately. Some of you suggested I should talk to him man to man, but honestly, I don't trust myself not to do something I'd regret. For those asking about the financial stuff, yes, I've frozen our joint credit cards and moved half our assets to my new account. My lawyer said that's all I can legally do right now. Several people asked if I think my family friends knew. I honestly don't know. My sister Molly always disliked Jessica, so maybe she sensed something. Edit 3. A few of you asked about the future. Honestly, I have no idea. Right now, I'm just focused on getting through the next 24 hours. The confrontation, the divorce filing, finding a place to stay, probably with my sister initially. I can't even think about dating or trusting someone again right now. And as for the baby, that's the hardest part. I was so excited to be a father. I already loved that baby so much, and now I have to accept that it was all a lie. Edit 4. Just got out of the final meeting with my lawyer. Everything is ready for tomorrow. She advised me to record the conversation. I'm in a one-party consent state, so it's legal. Get them to admit to the affair and the paternity on tape if possible, but not to get baited into saying or doing anything that could be used against me later. I have my sister on standby in case things get too intense. I just want this nightmare to be over. Now for the second update. So it's been a couple weeks since my last post, and wow, just wow. First, thank you to everyone who commented and sent messages of support. I honestly didn't expect that many people to care about my situation, but reading your comments really helped me not feel so alone during probably the worst time of my life. I mentioned at the end of my last post that I was planning to confront Jessica and Alan after my business trip, which wasn't real. I was actually just staying at a hotel nearby gathering evidence. I know a lot of you were worried I'd lose my cool and do something stupid, but I actually managed to handle it pretty well. So after that meeting with my lawyer, I spent like 2 days getting everything ready. My lawyer told me to make sure all my important stuff was out of the house before the confrontation, just in case things went south. I packed up my stuff, childhood photos, family keepsakes, important documents, etc., and took them to my sister Molly's house. I also took photos of everything in the house for the asset division stuff later. I changed my direct deposit for work to go into my new private account. That was actually one of the first things my lawyer told me to do. Anyway, I got back home Thursday evening when I was supposed to be returning from my business trip, and the house was super clean. Jessica was wearing a new dress I'd never seen before and had made a fancy dinner with candles, obviously trying to soften me up after I caught them together in our kitchen. I played along. She kept acting like nothing had happened. She was talking about nursery colors and baby names and saying how much she'd missed me while I was gone. I just nodded and smiled. I casually mentioned that I'd invited Alan over for dinner to discuss some financial planning for the baby's future, and she looked really scared for a second before hiding it. She immediately tried to get out of it, saying she was too tired for company, but I insisted it was important. I had my phone set up to record. My state is one-party consent, so it's totally legal. And I also had Molly on standby in case things got crazy. She was basically parked down the street, ready to come over if I texted her a specific code word. When Alan showed up, he brought an expensive bottle of wine. Jessica immediately tried to cancel again, saying she wasn't feeling well, but I said we really need to have this conversation tonight. I think they both knew something was up, but they couldn't figure out exactly what I knew. Dinner was really awkward. I just made small talk about work and baby stuff while they both looked uncomfortable. After dinner, I told them we needed to discuss some important matters regarding the baby. I had prepared 3 folders, my lawyer's idea. I put them on the coffee table and opened the first one, which had copies of my fertility test results showing my extremely low sperm count and the doctor's note saying natural conception would be almost impossible. Jessica got defensive, saying the doctors must have made a mistake since she was pregnant. I just nodded and opened the second folder, which had all the hotel receipts, credit card statements for the watch she bought him, and the photos from the PI showing them together. Alan started making excuses about how he was just supporting Jessica emotionally. I didn't respond, just pulled out the emails between them discussing their relationship and future plans. Jessica started crying and said they never meant to hurt me, it just happened, and all that typical cheater stuff. Alan was saying the same thing, that it just happened, and they never planned this. I asked them directly if the baby was Alan's. There was a long silence before Jessica finally admitted it. She said it very casually, like she was telling me something unimportant, not that she'd been lying to me for months. Then Jessica suggested we could work something out where I could still be part of the baby's life. And Alan agreed with her, suggesting I could be the child's uncle or something. Like I would want to stick around and be an uncle to their kid. That's when I opened the third folder, which had the divorce papers my lawyer had prepared. Jessica completely changed. She went from fake apologetic to threatening me, saying she would ruin me in court and take everything. I explained that I had documented all their financial stuff, like the $18,000 she took from our joint account, had witnesses to their admission about the baby's paternity, and was recording our conversation legally. She looked really shocked when I mentioned the recording. The divorce proceedings actually moved pretty quickly with all the evidence I had. The judge was not happy about their plan to potentially trick me into raising and financially supporting a child that wasn't mine. I was awarded the house, my retirement accounts, and she even had to reimburse me for some of the money she took from our joint account. Jessica only got her personal stuff and a small portion of our savings. And get this, during the proceedings, we found out Alan had been in serious financial trouble for months. He had borrowed money from several friends, including $25,000 from ME, for a supposed business opportunity that never existed. The court ordered him to pay that back with interest. The past few months have actually been kind of good, which feels weird to say after having my marriage end. I got that promotion at work that I mentioned in my first post, the one I was working all those late nights for. Ironic, right? I've reconnected with some friends I hadn't seen much during my marriage, and I've even started dating again, which I never thought would happen so soon. Meanwhile, Jessica and Alan are apparently miserable. Their relationship fell apart almost immediately under the financial pressure. Alan lost his job after his financial scams became public through the court documents. Jessica had to move into a tiny apartment and take a lower-paying job. And I heard from a mutual friend that Alan is already missing child support payments despite court orders. The weirdest part was running into Jessica at the grocery store last week. She looked really tired and messy, nothing like her usually polished self. She told me that she and Alan broke up 2 months after the baby was born. Then she started hinting that maybe she'd made a terrible mistake and suggested we could talk sometime about potentially getting back together. I noticed she was wearing an obviously fake designer watch. I politely told her I've moved on. She asked if I ever think about the baby, and I just said, I hope the kid has a good life, but it's not my responsibility. Then I mentioned I'm dating someone new, her name is Tammy, who shares my values of honesty and respect. Jessica looked really upset when she realized I'm actually happier without her. I'm still healing from all this, but I'm grateful I found out the truth before spending years raising another man's child thinking it was mine. Tammy is seriously everything Jessica wasn't. She's honest, supportive, and actually cares about me, not what I can provide for her. We've been dating about 2 months now and things are going really well. Oh, and I just got offered this amazing job opportunity in another city with a huge salary increase. Tammy and I are actually talking about whether she'd consider moving with me for a fresh start. It's still early in our relationship, so I don't know if that will happen, but the fact that it's even a possibility makes me hopeful for the future. I guess sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to finding what you actually deserve. Edit. Thanks for all the awards and supportive comments. To answer some common questions. No, I don't miss Jessica at all anymore. The initial shock and grief was intense, but once I saw who she really was, it was like a switch flipped. Yes, Alan did try to contact me a few times to explain, but I blocked him everywhere. No explanation needed, dude. You slept with my wife and got her pregnant while pretending to be my friend. Pretty straightforward. For those asking about the baby, no, I haven't seen the baby and don't plan to. Some of you suggested I might regret not being in the child's life, but honestly, it would be too painful and confusing for everyone involved. About Tammy. We met through a friend about 3 months after the divorce was finalized. And no, she doesn't know Jessica personally. Several people ask that for some reason. My sister Molly has been amazing through all this. She never liked Jessica, which I used to think was just sister being protective stuff, but turns out she saw through her all along. Edit 2. Wow, this blew up even more. A few more answers. Jessica was about 5 months pregnant when all this went down. The baby is now about 4 months old. I never had to pay any child support since paternity was established before the birth. My lawyer made sure everything was handled properly. For those wondering if I'm worried about running into them in the future, that's part of why I'm considering the job in the new city. Fresh start, you know? To the person who asked if I think any of our mutual friends knew about the affair, I've wondered the same thing. A couple friends admitted they had suspicions but weren't sure enough to say anything. Others seemed genuinely shocked.